All right, what's up, Algebra 1? Today we are doing lesson 3.7, which is absolute value equations and inequalities. Before we get started on the actual lesson, I just want you to do a quick warm-up activity sort of thing in your notes. So let me get that ready for you. All right, so I have a couple of problems here for you to do real quick. Basically, it just says if these are absolute values, what are the possible original values? All right, so go ahead, take a minute, and go ahead and do those really quick, and then we'll continue on. All right, so when you do these, you should get for 25, negative 25 is a possible value, and 25 is a possible value. All right, so if you take the absolute value of either one of these, the absolute value of negative 25 is 25, and the absolute value of 25 is also 25. All right, same thing with 11 here. So if you have the absolute value of negative 11, that'll get you 11, and if you have the absolute value of 11, you'll get the value, or you'll get 11. Yep, so those are really simple. I just wanted to take a second to refresh your mind on absolute values, and this will lead us right into what we're doing next. All right, so we're going to solve equations and inequalities that have absolute values. All right, so this first problem, we have the absolute value of x plus 2 equals 9. All right, so the best way to solve this is to just go ahead and solve like normal. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. We're going to be left with the absolute value of x equals positive 7. All right, now there are two values here that this could be, right? We could have x equals 7. We could also have x equals negative 7. All right, the reason for that is if we were to plug in negative 7 right here, then we'd have the absolute value of negative 7, which is 7. All right, so absolute values, you're going to have two possible solutions. All right, and that is going to be for this one, 7 and negative 7. Go ahead and try out got it problem 1 right here, and then we will resume the video. All right, so once you finish that problem, we'll go ahead and move on to problem 2. We've got a word problem here. So it says, starting from 100 feet away, your friend skates towards you and then passes by you. She skates at a constant speed of 20 feet per second. Her distance d from you in feet after t seconds is given by the equation d equals the absolute value of 100 minus 20t. At what times is she 40 feet from you? All right, so one thing I'm going to notice right away is that 40 feet, that's going to be your distance that you're looking for. So we can plug in 40 for d anytime we see a d. All right, so our original equation will then be 40 equals the absolute value of 100 minus 20t. Okay. All right, so just like we had in the previous problem, we're going to have two different problems here, right? So what this means, since the absolute value of a number can be positive or negative, or sorry, can only be positive, that means that this could be positive or negative. All right, so we want to write an equation that if we didn't have the absolute value, it could come out to be positive or negative. All right, and that's why we're going to set it two different ways. And let me reorganize this real quick. So that's why we're going to set it two different ways. So we're going to have positive 40 equals 100 minus 20t. And then the other side of it would be negative 40 equals 100 minus 20t. All right, so when you set these up, you can get rid of those absolute value signs once you've come up with your two different equations. All right, so from here we would just solve like normal again. All right, so I'm going to subtract 100 from both sides. I'm going to be left with negative 60 equals negative 20t. All right, divide both sides by negative 20. Now we have 3 equals t. All right, so that would be 3 seconds. All right, and then the other side, we would do the same thing. So subtract 100 from both sides. The difference is this time we're subtracting from negative 40. So we're going to end up with negative 140 equals negative 20t. All right, divide both sides by negative 20. Then we're left with 7 equals t. So 7 seconds. All right, so the two times that your friend is going to be 40 feet away from you is going to be after 3 seconds and after 7 seconds. Okay. So that's it for that problem. I want you to go ahead and try got it problem number 2. It's a very similar problem. The main thing is that there's different values. All right, so go ahead and give it a try and see how it goes. All right, so problem 3. We have solving an absolute value equation that has no solution. All right, so we're going to do 3 times the absolute value of 2z plus 9 plus 12 equals 10. All right, we're going to go ahead and start by just simplifying as much as we can. All right, so first we will subtract 12 from both sides. That'll leave us with 3 times the absolute value of 2z plus 9 equals negative 2. All right, now we can divide both sides by 3 in order to cancel out that 3. So we now have 2z plus 9 equals negative 2/3. All right, now you'll notice that we have the absolute value of something equal to a negative number. All right, this can never happen. All right, that is not possible. All right, so that means there is no solution. Okay, so hopefully that one makes sense. And then yeah, we can look at this. Just go ahead and do number 3 on the got it problem on page 208, I think that is. And then we will come back together again. Sorry guys, the videos. There we go. All right, so now we've got for problem 4, an inequality the absolute value of 8n is greater than or equal to 24. All right, so now we're working with inequalities. Again, you're just going to do it the same way as you did the equations. And then with multiplication and division, the same rules apply. So if you multiply or divide by a negative number, you're going to have to flip the sign. All right, so this will split into 2 different inequalities. So we have 8n is less than or equal to negative 24, or 8n is greater than or equal to 24. All right, so you'll notice this sign right here flips. Okay, so the reason for that is you flipped the sign right here for 24. Okay, so when you do that for inequalities, you're going to have to also flip your inequality symbol as well. All right, so you'll need to be really careful with that. One thing that I think will help you to decide if you did it right is the graphing, and then we will get to that here in just a second. All right, so if I do the one on the left side, I'm going to divide both sides by 8, which is going to leave me with n is less than or equal to negative 3. And then same thing on the right side, divide both sides by 8. That'll leave us with n is greater than or equal to positive 3. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and graph this. Okay, so I have 0, there's 3, there's negative 3. All right. So my inequality on the left side, we have less than or equal to negative 3. So my point's going to be at negative 3. Since it's less than or equal to, I'm going to shade it. All right. And then it needs to go to the left because the variable is the lesser part. All right. And then on the other side, we have n is greater than or equal to 3. So again, same thing. We're at 3. And I'm going to shade in because it's also equal to. And now I'm going to the right because the variable is the greater side. All right. So this is what your graph should look like for this one. Okay. If you messed this up, let's say I had greater than or equal to, okay, that would be the same thing here, greater than or equal to negative 3. Now our point would be here. All right, and now we're going here. Okay, we won't really see any graphs that are like this. All right, where they overlap each other. So if you get that, you know you messed something up. So just be on the lookout for that. And I think graphing is a really good way to check your solutions. All right, so moving on, I want you guys to do problem number 4. Try out that one and make sure you also graph it as well. Okay. All right, and then once you have done that, we are actually going to be done for the day. So finish up that video and that example. Make sure you've got good notes. You've done the examples, and then you are good to be done. And I will see you guys in class.